Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my journey to securing a job from South Africa. Now, I've been very hesitant to do a video on this because the last thing that I want to do is spread any misinformation, and I guess maybe I kind of feel like because I'm only in it's only possible for me to be in one industry, I felt like a video like this would only be applicable to like a small group of people. But upon reflecting about my journey, I realized that maybe somebody could take some value no matter what industry they were in. Even if it helps one person, I feel like it would have been worth it. So I've split this video into 5 parts, and basically each part is kind of like a tip, and I've kind of drawn from my experience to get to these 5 tips. So the first one is use Google and use the platforms available to you to understand the opportunities in your industry. So speaking from my experience, when I had decided that I wanted to move over, I actually didn't know anybody in my industry, or didn't know anybody well enough in my industry to reach out to them to ask. So I had to go to Google. Essentially, that's where I went to. I went to Google and I started researching jobs directly. So I literally typed in Google, newly qualified chartered accountants, jobs Ireland or jobs Dublin, and I started to look through the jobs that were available to people who had my backgrounds. And from that, I started to gauge what was in the market, what wasn't in the market. Also know there are such great platforms like, obviously you can use irishjobs.ie. First point of call is speaking to any previous or any former colleagues or anybody that you know personally who is in the same industry as you, and then obviously leaning on the Facebook group South Africans Moving to Ireland, as well as their website. I think they have such an amazing website filled with so much content, and one of the key things on their website is around other people's experiences. And you might find somebody's written a blog about their industry, which might happen to be your industry. I think the second tip that I have is just to be as agile as possible when it comes to what you put yourself out there for. What I mean by this is when I was applying for jobs, and I literally had to go and research what jobs I applied for on Irish. So I went to irishjobs.ie and I looked at the jobs that I had applied for. And I'll read them out for you. I applied for jobs with the headings audit senior, financial accountant, audit senior / manager, audit and advisory manager, assistant manager. Whatever opportunities there were, I just wanted to get my foot in the door, and so I put my CV out there. Now, I don't know if that helped in any way, but if you are set on one job, one way, you kind of close yourself off to a whole bunch of opportunities. So for me, I was like, okay, I know that there's one thing I specifically want. So I specifically wanted an audit manager role, but I knew that if I wanted to work in Ireland, I might have to compromise. And so I looked at the compromises I needed to make and started to widen the pool of jobs that I wanted to apply for, to see if any of those would gain more traction than my role that I wanted. And the third tip that I have is around the CVs. What I did with my CV is I kept it in the same format that I had in South Africa. And what I'll say about that is I applied on irishjobs.ie. This is not, I'm speaking irishjobs.ie because that's where I applied the most. But it's not the only place I applied. I also applied directly with companies. But specifically there, because I've seen it, I applied for 6 different roles using the same CV, and I only really heard back from one person, which means that maybe my CV it's not maybe the best way to do it, didn't have a high success rate of getting people to come back to me. And what eventually ended up happening was it was a recruiter who got back to me because I had applied for a job that a recruiter had put out, and he asked me to transfer everything on my CV into a format that they used, so the format the recruiting agent used. So I can't share that format. Adjusting my CV to the recruiters, the way the recruiter wanted it, or the recruiter's format, did help me gain traction in the market. But at the same time, I had a recruiter who had relationships with different firms, and that also helps. Definitely suggest that you go to South Africans Moving to Ireland group, and there's parts of the website where you can put your, you can research how you're going to research the appropriate CV to put it on. Can't really speak too much about me because I didn't change my CV to fit the Irish format, so I can't speak too much about that, but I definitely know that the CV that I had put out there landed up going, the job that I landed up securing was not off of that CV. And the fourth thing that I just want to talk about, or the fourth tip I have, is around being realistic with timelines. So I do have an EU passport, so I thought, okay, I have an EU passport, so I have the right to live and work in Europe, so this should be easy. I should be able to put my CV out there and then have a job next week. And I think I wasn't being realistic with the timelines at all, because what landed up happening was it took me, I applied for jobs at the end of October, beginning of November, and I landed up only having my first interview, not even securing a job. My first interview in the first and second weeks of December. Once I got my first interview and I got my first offer, it started to speed up a lot quicker. Some places have 2 rounds of interviews, and then there's a week apart from each interview. And that week apart adds time to the overall process. Eventually, I managed and secured a job in mid-December, signing an official contract. I still remember, I think I signed my official contract of employment so the 17th of December. So, from applying to signing was a month and a half. Just to be realistic about the timelines, when I say be realistic, doesn't mean that it's going to take a month and a half for everybody. It can take a week, can take 2 weeks, can take 2 months, can take 6 months. It's just being realistic that it's not going to be this process that is so quick. And last but not least, I'll always say this, is just to know your worth in a marketplace. I actually stood quite firm in what I knew I wanted in the end. So where at the beginning I was agile to get my foot in the door, by the end of the process I had known what I was worth and what I could contribute to a company, and I wanted a role that would recognize that. I wanted a role that matched what I could give. I knew my worth and I stood up for it, and I'm very, very glad I did. So yeah, just know your worth in the marketplace, and as much as you are just trying to find an opportunity, I guess don't let companies take advantage of the fact that you are just willing to accept. Yeah, just know your worth. That's all I'll say. On an overall basis, finding a job and securing a job from a different country will always present its challenges, and a lot of the initial recruiters I was in contact with were telling me that this was going to be an issue, that it would be a problem trying to find a job. But at the same time as them saying that it would be a problem, I still managed to secure a job. So it is going to be tough, and it's not going to be as easy as you might expect, but it is possible. People have done it in many different industries. They've secured jobs from South Africa. So just be mindful that if you've done your research and you know what opportunities there are in your industry, if they tell you, oh, that's not possible, you need to be here to get a job, or oh, that's not going to happen because XYZ, just know that that's always going to, we're very good at trying to find different doors to open, different opportunities. So if one place is closing their door to you, don't be afraid to go and knock on another door. One recruiter is telling you you're not going to be able to find a job, please, you need to come over and then I'll help you find a job. Go and find another door with a recruiter who might be able to help you. Go find another company. It doesn't necessarily mean because one person's saying something that is the standard. It's going to take maybe 30 seconds to just touch on my specific industry as a chartered accountant in audit. I'm not entirely sure about the likelihood of finding a job outside of the audit industry as a chartered accountant, but I do have really close friends who have managed to secure jobs with passports, not on a visa basis, with passports in industry in Ireland. So it is possible. Like I said, don't ever let anybody tell you it's impossible. It's really possible, and you just need to find the door and knock on it, bang on it. If you are looking for opportunities in the audit industry, there are so many opportunities, and I think if you just research it, you'll find it. If you are a qualified chartered accountant or in the process of qualifying as a chartered accountant, and you want more information on the industry specifically, what it's like to audit in Ireland, I'm happy to share my experiences, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll include my little handle here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be sure to share any opportunities in my firm there. I'll also be sure to, you can send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to give advice. I just really want to help. Closing off this discussion, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has commented on my videos, that have sent me messages, that have liked the videos. I really appreciate people taking time out of their day. I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to interact with me. I really appreciate it, and very fulfilling. So thank you so much.